I have seen lots of people do this where you trade your screen time in for reading. And ever since having a baby, I have been on TikTok way more. It started in the hospital when I was in the hospital for 48 hours and then another like 3 days straight after that. Then when baby comes home, I'm up at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I'm bored. I need something to keep myself awake so that I don't fall asleep on this baby. I went to TikTok. And ever since then, I've spiraled and it has gotten out of control and I need to stop. So I decided to look up how much time I spent on TikTok last week. I spent 13 hours on TikTok in 1 week. That's like 2 hours a day. That's pretty bad. I am going to challenge myself this week to read a little bit more. The takeaway always ends up being that you feel better when you're on TikTok less. I know that going into it. It's gonna be a challenge though. So I'm in the middle of a few books right now. None of them are like drawing me in completely. So that's kind of where I struggle, because if it's not like gripping my attention, then I just get bored and go to Instagram or TikTok. That is a problem, I know that. One thing that helps a lot is listening to an audiobook, which I do count as reading, but in order to do that, I will color. And so I'll usually color while I'm listening to something, and that'll get me like 30 minutes. So I do feel good about that. I don't have any audiobooks right now though, and any of the books that I want to read right now, the audiobook is on hold. So I'm gonna have to be doing some reading on my Kindle or my phone, depending on what I have available. My husband's calling me BRB. Okay. The way I've seen some people do this is like if on Sunday the baby's waking up. She's talking to herself right now. If on Sunday you were on TikTok or whatever for X amount of hours, then that's how much you read on that Sunday. I can't do that. I read it'll all be varied. So I don't want to do it like that and then come Saturday and have to catch up all these hours. So I was only on TikTok only an hour and 32 on Sunday, 2:37 on Monday. That was my highest day. Oh yeah, that Monday, my husband came home late, like super late. I watched a lot of TikTok on muted. So I was probably putting her to bed and she probably was fussy or taking a while. And so I was probably watching TikTok while doing that. Only an hour and 35 on Tuesday, hour and 55 on Wednesday, 2:28 on Thursday, hour and 39 on Friday, and then an hour and 3 on Saturday. It's really hard when you're pumping for 15 to 30 minutes multiple times a day to not get stuck in this trap of getting on your phone. So a lot of that time is because I'm pumping or feeding her. I just recently stopped my middle of the night pump, but what I found was that if I would read, I would not be able to fall asleep. So I was like, oh, let me do something better with my time at 2 in the morning than getting on TikTok. Well, I was getting too awake, and then I was up from like 2 to 5 on Monday and like 2 to 4 on Tuesday. The days that I would just get on TikTok to pump when I was pumping in the middle of the night, I would fall right back asleep. So I need to just keep doing that and be okay with that. Like, I know I'm not gonna ever like get down to 20 minutes a day on TikTok because I'm pumping, and sometimes you just need something to occupy yourself. I'm fine with using the app if I'm feeding my baby or putting her to sleep. I want to be reading instead. That's goal number 1. And then anytime where I'm like, when I eat a lot, if I'm eating by myself, I'll be on TikTok. I want to be better at that. But it's like the nighttime stuff, I'm okay with being on TikTok because it helps me fall asleep. But yeah, so we will see how the week goes. I actually started this yesterday on Sunday and I got to 26 minutes of reading. We were very busy. We had family over. So not the best day to start it, but it's fine. It was better than nothing, better than what I usually do on a Sunday anyways. So hopefully today we will make a little bit more progress and work towards reading more, TikTok less. I will check back in later and give you a little progress update, but for now, I've got a baby and some work to do, so I'm not gonna be reading for a while today. It is now Wednesday, and here's my little update so far. So one thing I'm definitely trying to do is reading while I'm feeding baby instead of getting on TikTok. It's very easy to just, oh, I have 10 minutes, let me just get on TikTok and scroll. I'm trying to read instead because I don't want her to always be having that stimulation either. And obviously when she's a little bit more coherent, I won't be able to do that because she will be noticing that I'm not paying attention to her. But for right now, I feel like reading is okay to do while I feed her. Yesterday was a beautiful day. I was busy. I got to meet up with a friend, and so I didn't spend as much time reading as I thought I would, but that's okay. Today, I think we will make up for it because it is 73 degrees. It's like sweatshirt weather. It's perfect. I'm gonna be outside as much as possible today, taking the baby out, and she loves just sitting and looking at the trees, so it's the perfect time for me to read. I'm reading 2 books at the moment. I am listening to the audiobook of What Kind of Paradise, and that's a very interesting book so far. Basic synopsis is that this person was kind of left in isolation with her dad in a cabin in the woods, and he's kind of been lying to her about a lot of things. Set in the 90s, kind of like the start of the internet, and so it'll be interesting to see how everything unravels, but I feel like it's gonna get good. Definitely very interesting so far. A very different book than I normally read.
Getting the most of them on the merits of your perfect SAT scores at 4.2 GPA.
It's now Friday and I am doing so good. I think I am up to I only need like 30 minutes left, and it's only Friday, to get to that 13-hour goal. Now that I'm like into the books, it's like easy peasy. Audiobooks is kind of like the only way I've been able to really fully commit to this, I guess. Baby has been all over the board with schedule this week. I think we're going through a growth spurt, so that made things challenging. I also dropped my middle of the night pump, which was where I was getting like 30 minutes a night on TikTok. So because of that, I'm not replacing that time with reading. I mean, it's good that I'm not on TikTok for 3.5 hours in the middle of the night anymore, but I don't get to gain that in reading. I'm listening to audiobooks while I color, which is helping me get back into both of those hobbies. But yeah, so overall, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I am not finished with either book yet, which is surprising. As of right now, 20 pages away from finishing Glorious Rivals. I will finish that today. It's looking like a 3.5, 4-star for me. I will probably round up to a 4 on Goodreads, but it's more like a 3.5 for me. Like, there's only so much puzzling you can do, and I feel like the first trilogy did that really well. The character development, like all of that was really fun to watch and read. The other book I'm reading, What Kind of Paradise, that's the one I'm listening to. I'm almost done with that one as well. I should be able to finish that today. Probably gonna listen to that while I work or play Sims, and I will finish that definitely today. I think I only have like an hour or 2 left in the audiobook, so definitely gonna finish that today. That one is getting good. I think that's probably gonna be a 4-star book, just depending on how it all plays out. I think none of it has been uninteresting so far. I just know that like something's gonna happen any moment now. So that's my update for now. I will check back in when I'm all done. You're okay. Hi. You're okay. You're okay. So I officially completed the Treating My Screen Time challenge. I feel like this was super successful. I'm gonna get all my notes. I ended up reading close to 15 hours last week, which was crazy. That's way more than I had been doing, so I'm proud of myself for that. Sunday, I read 26 minutes. Monday, I read for 66 minutes. Tuesday, I read for 145 minutes. Wednesday, I read for 225 minutes. Thursday, I read for 202 minutes. Friday, I read for 227 minutes. And Saturday, I didn't read at all, but that was mostly because my dog got sick and he was up puking every 2 hours. And then I was dealing with the baby, obviously, and then my husband was taking him to the vet, and it was a whole day. So I did not get any reading done, but I kind of also knew that I was already to my goal of 13 hours, so I wasn't stressing about it because I already reached that goal. I only read 2 books this week. I honestly thought I would get through more. So I started and finished Glorious Rivals and What Kind of Paradise. What Kind of Paradise was an audiobook, and Glorious Rivals I read on my Kindle, either on this Kindle or like the Kindle app on my phone, whichever was closest to me at the time. Glorious Rivals is the second book in the Grandest Game trilogy, which is an offshoot of the the Inheritance games. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, this was kind of how I felt at the beginning. I think I talked about this a little bit ago. I just feel like there's so much puzzling already done in this world with these characters. Granted, the Grandest Game has like a few new characters from Inheritance, but it's still kind of like the same idea, the same author, the same kind of setup to the puzzles. Nothing felt new and unique. That's not to say I didn't enjoy my time reading it. I feel like part of the struggle with wanting to read it was because I kind of felt like, what am I learning that's new? The sun is like shining so bright right now. It also wasn't like a terrible time, so I ended up rating it a 3.5 star. Mostly because it just felt like there wasn't any new information, and also it just kind of felt like it was dragging on at some points. And again, I'm not meaning this as a dig because I didn't dislike my time reading it. I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking. I don't know. I think that's pretty much all I can say about it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I think part of the rating for me comes from really enjoying the characters and this world and Jennifer Lynn Barnes as an author. So if you didn't like the Inheritance games, obviously, like, I would not recommend reading the Grandest Game trilogy. It could be hit or miss. Some people love it, some people don't. And I'm just kind of right in the middle where I only like it because I like the characters, I guess, if that makes sense. Now, What Kind of Paradise I listened to, and I did see a review that said something about how that person thinks they wouldn't have liked it if they read it versus reading it. So I can say that I didn't mind the audiobook. I am 100% with that person who reviewed it, where audiobooks can make or break a book, but this one did a good job. I don't know if I would have liked it less if I read it. I usually don't have that issue. I could see how some parts of this might be boring if you read it versus listened to it and was doing something else with your time. It was such a fun premise and not like anything I had read recently. Basically, this woman is telling her story about how when she was growing up, she lived with her dad, cabin in the woods, like slowly getting electricity and electronics and stuff like that, but for the most part, like they killed animals for their food, especially if they were getting snowed in, like that type of lifestyle. Very secluded from the world. She was homeschooled. She didn't go to school. She barely went into town. Very, very secluded. You start off knowing that something happens, and then we go back in time and we tell the whole story. Honestly, I thought it was a good book. I gave it a 4 star. The reason it wasn't a 5-star book for me is because you just kept waiting for the shoe to drop. You kept waiting for something bad and major to happen, and those things did happen. It just didn't hit as hard as I was expecting it to. I was expecting to be like a jaw-dropping twist and something happening. There were some moments where you wanted to be like, you are so stupid, but her first time into the real world, of course she's gonna make mistakes that we think are obvious because we have lived in the real world with technology, with people for our whole life, and she didn't. So at 18 years old, when she's finally going out into the real world and meeting people and learning how to interact with people and learning how to get on buses and things like that and not knowing intentions behind any other people, obviously she's gonna make mistakes, but there was one part where I'm like, oh my god, you're such an idiot. To me, I'm someone who struggles with slice of life books, and I think some people could argue that this kind of was, but it wasn't like mundane things were happening. It was interesting. You knew you were working towards something. It wasn't just like, I don't know, a romance slice of life. I feel like it's different than this. So yeah, so I enjoyed that book. I enjoyed both of these books. I think at the end of the day, my goal was to trade my screen time. Oh, I should probably talk about my screen time then. It definitely was down. General? Where is it? Screen time, here we go. So last week, I ended up being on TikTok for 7.5 hours, which is about 5.5 hours less than last week. So I feel like I did pretty good. A lot of those hours were me listening to the audiobook. So if you're wondering how do you find time to do that, well, listening to audiobooks is a way for you to use your phone first of all, and you're able to do something else, but you're not sitting there. Oh God, I almost just threw my phone because you're already using your phone for something. So I wasn't just like mindlessly picking up my phone and then getting sucked in. But yeah, I think the biggest change for me was just consciously deciding to not have any audio or video playing while feeding my baby, and instead just reading. So at the end of the day, definitely feel better about the week. I am gonna try keeping up with this. Obviously I won't be tracking myself. I think that was kind of the most annoying part, is tracking how much I actually was reading. I think it's helpful to see that like you actually were trading screen time for reading and actually meeting that, and not just like kind of mindlessly on TikTok. Like I was a lot more conscious of my social media use, but the whole tracking of the time is that's kind of difficult and kind of annoying to have to keep up with. So I won't always do that, but I am going to be going forward trying to be a little bit more conscious of things. And hopefully this was the reset I needed. Having a baby kind of got me sucked right back into TikTok, and I'm still gonna be honest, I still use TikTok, obviously like an hour a day. I don't know, I learned so much about babies on there that right now I don't dislike using it as much as like maybe a year ago. I am getting tired and I only have like 15 more minutes before the baby wakes up probably. So I am gonna call that a day. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will see you next time. Bye.